guys and welcome to WePC. Today we're going to be looking at the Alienware AW3420DW. It's their 34-inch ultra-wide gaming monitor. It's got 120Hz refresh rate. It's got a 2 ms response time. The thing I'm most looking forward to with this monitor, however, is the nano IPS colour technology that it comes equipped with. Alienware have said that this monitor should be good for 135% sRGB. We will put that to the test later on in the review, but we're going to do everything from gaming, productivity, picture quality, all those fun things. So let's get into it. Okay, so as always, we're going to start off with the design. As you can see, it's pretty Alienware. Yeah, Alienware always do a really good job when it comes to designing monitors. This one is no different. They've gone with a new, it's called the Legend design language. It brings the sort of light grey colour theme with the black trim to the table. I think it looks really nice. It's got a 1900R curvature, which on a monitor this size isn't overly sort of curved. But yeah, it adds immersion, but it doesn't take too much. Like, it doesn't like barrel you in like the Samsung G9 does. The back of the monitor looks really good, even though you don't really get a chance to see it. It's got the big 34 there, which sort of reminds me of some like bunker or hanger. That's part of the new design. RGB on this, there is 2 zones. There's like an oval at the back of the stand, which looks really nice, and it does actually provide a bit of luminance to the back wall. If you have your monitor quite close to a wall like we do here, you can actually see it. It's quite nice. There's another RGB under here, which is quite nice as well when it gets dark. There's also a little alien at the back here, which you can't really see right now, but that's pretty cool as well. Overall, the design's pretty nice. You can't really knock Alienware when it comes to design. They always do a very good job. Touching on bezels, however, quickly, they are pretty chunky. 11mm either side, and then at the bottom, I believe it's 18mm. A monitor this size, I mean, not too bad. You'd like to see them a little bit thinner, but yeah, it takes nothing away from the viewing experience for me personally. The stand is absolutely brilliant. I always have a go at monitors, like larger curved monitors, for not having stands that are, you know, equipped for the job. This one's really good. I know Paul said there was a bit of wobble, I think, when he did his unboxing video, but I don't think there is. If you compare this to other monitors like the G9, that just felt horrific in comparison. This one feels absolutely rock solid, and it's got a ton of versatility. You've got loads of height there. I think it's 130mm height to play with. You've even got a little bit of pivot there. I'm not sure anyone would ever use that. It's 5 degrees either way, but it's there if you do. You can always do the 20 degrees either way, and then you've also got front and backwards tilt as well. So you've got the stand, for me, is one of the best ones I've used. It's up there with like Asus ROG monitors and things like that. Very good stand. As far as like gaming aesthetic goes, you'd probably say that it leans towards gaming, but it's not overly gamey, as you can see. It's somewhere in between super gaming and like sort of your stylish office monitor. It brings a lot to the table. And it'd suit pretty much every environment. As we'll see later as well, thanks to some of the specs that it comes with and the performance, you could really use this for most scenarios, whether it's editing, you know, productivity or gaming. It's completely up to you. So design for me, absolutely spot on. Okay, so now that we've had a little look at the design and some of the mechanical features of this monitor, it's time to put the colour accuracy, picture quality to the test. For this, we're going to use our little colorimeter here. I'm going to run pretty much every preset of this monitor to see how they stack up for colour and picture accuracy. For the purposes of this video, I'm only going to showcase the out of the box and the game presets, just because I think that's the most relevant and we don't want to be taking up like an hour's worth of video time. If you want to see all the results, you can pop on over to the website. The full review will be down in the link below. Once we've gone through the out of the box settings in the game mode, we're going to quickly calibrate the monitor and see how accurate we can get it. We're also going to look at colour gamuts and the colour volume to see if it stacks up with what Alienware are actually saying it does. 135% sRGB is what it's meant to have. And then we're going to run it for a quick panel uniformity test, which is basically seeing how uniform the panel is in terms of brightness and colour. So with all that, let's get into it. Okay, so we've finished the testing and we've got the out-the-box results here. And the results were quite good. The The white point was 6600 kelvins, which is, you know, almost perfect. 6500 Kelvin is what you should be aiming for, really. Black depth wasn't too bad, 0.12. That's pretty standard for an IPS panel, which is what this is. Contrast ratio is a little low. Overall, it's 1000 to 1. The contrast out of the box was 935 to 1, which, you know, pretty good overall. What we should really be focusing on more importantly though, however, is the average delta and the maximum delta. So on average it was 2.74, which is not the best in the world. I've certainly seen better monitors right out of the box, but it's not the worst either. The maximum delta, however, is 5.21, so there is going to be a number of different colours there that are going to sort of vary from what we class as true. But overall, for out the box, not the worst. I always say to people, if you're going to be editing with a monitor, you should probably calibrate it before you use it. However, if you simply can't afford the device or you don't know where to download a preset profile, out of the box is going to serve you okay. Not the best in the world, but not the worst either. Next up, we did the game preset. It's just called game preset 1. There is 3 to choose from in this particular panel, but we just picked number 1. Again, results were pretty similar. 6700 kelvins this time for the white point. Again, 0.12 for black depth, which is, as I said before, standard. Contrast was pretty much exactly the same. We did get slightly better average colour deltas, 2.67 and 5.23. So overall, I mean, both profiles were fairly accurate. And fairly similar in terms of where they had strengths and weaknesses. It's weird really because between game 1 and out of the box you can see a visible difference. When you click it through to game 1 it's a little bit more saturated, a little bit more vibrant, and yet we still got similar results in terms of, you know, white point, black depth, contrast ratio. So overall I was pretty happy with out of the box, to be honest. Yeah, it was pretty good. That being said, I am going to run a more in-depth test now. I'm then going to calibrate the monitor. I'm going to bring up some of the data you need to know for that in terms of like the custom, what's going to be best suited to you just out of the box, how to change the RGB. And then we're going to calibrate it using our device and see what we get after that. Okay, so before we calibrate the monitor, I'm quickly going to pop the preset into custom. Having it in custom gives you access over the RGB, which is what you want. And the best results for me personally, obviously this is going to be a little bit varied panel to panel, but for me personally, I just had to reduce the R to 97%, the G to 99%, and I just left blue at 100%. When I was doing a preliminary colour test with a colorimeter, those were the best you can get out of the box. So 97, 99 and 100. That being said, we're now going to calibrate it using the device and see what results we get. So the calibration has completed, and as you can imagine, the figures are much closer to ideal than out of the box settings. White point is now perfect, 6500 kelvins. Dark point is pretty much the same. That's not really going to change too much by doing a calibration. That's 0.13 now, so it has gone up a bit. Contrast is 913, so that has taken a little bit of a dip, but that's usually to be expected. What we were really happy with, however, was the average delta and the maximum delta. Before it was around 2.7 average, now it's 0.2, so almost perfect in terms of colours. The maximum delta we received after doing after calibrating the monitor was 1.02, which is a huge drop from 5. If you're completely new to this process, if you look at a slide and it's off by a delta of 3, you can just about see the difference there. So when you get to 5, it's quite noticeable. So you're physically seeing a different colour than what other people with a calibrated monitor would see. So to reduce that down to 1 is a huge plus. So yeah, after calibration, extremely accurate colours for this monitor. Okay, so with colour accuracy out of the way, we're going to quickly have a look at panel uniformity. As you can see, we've split the screen into a 5x5 grid, and the purposes of this test to see how uniform both the brightness and the colours are. So what we do with this test is we take the centre square as a reference, we test that, and then we test every other square after that. And it'll come back with a report that says how much each one differentiates from the centre square. So We'll run that through and we'll have a little look at the results and we'll discuss how accurate and how uniform this panel is. Okay, so we've gone through the test and we've got the results back here. As you can see, it's a bit of a weird one, this monitor actually. Before we go through the results actually, just again, panel by panel, these results are going to differ. Unfortunately, you can only sort of take these results with a pinch of salt, but it's always good to know whether they're like horrifically bad, because it's a rough guide to what you can expect. But don't expect to buy this monitor and get the exact same results as us. They'll be similar but not identical. So that out of the way, this monitor was a bit hit and miss for me personally. As you can see here, the left hand side of the panel was absolutely perfect. There's 3 different colours, green, amber and red, pretty self-explanatory. Green is good, amber's okay, red is poor. Most monitors these days will have a little bit of, you know, faltering around the corners. That's pretty standard. So when we saw red in the top and bottom right hand corners, I mean, I wasn't really too surprised, to be honest. They differ around 14%. The bottom one doesn't differ that bad actually, that's close to 7 or 8%, but the top one is around 14% difference, which, yeah, I mean, it sounds quite a lot, but in terms of the viewing experience, it doesn't really take much away. The majority of the rest of the panel is really good actually. The whole left hand side is green apart from the bottom left here, which, like I said before, is to be expected. And there is some sort of adjacent areas around here where they're amber, but again, that sort of all ties in with the position near the corner and just the nature of most monitors these days. So that being said, panel uniformity, pretty good, but as always, a little bit of faltering around the edges. So the last test we're going to run in the pitch quality and colour accuracy section is a colour gamut test. One of the big selling points of this monitor, or what Alienware are classing as one of the big selling points of this monitor, is the fact that it comes with IPS nano colour technology. That means it should have a much wider and a much greater coverage of the sRGB colour spectrum. Alienware themselves said that it covers 135%, so we want to put that to the test and see what it actually comes back with. For us, I actually got 142% coverage, volume, sorry. 142% sRGB volume, which is very good, and that's a 99.8% coverage of the sRGB spectrum. So, I mean, extremely good when it comes to sRGB photo editing and things like that. Okay, so for people that want to use something a little bit more advanced, like the Adobe RGB colour spectrum or the DCI-P free colour spectrum, you'll be happy to know that this monitor has a volume of 100% for both of those. And in terms of coverage, you get 89% ARGB and 93% DCI-P free. So, I mean, that's up there with one of the best monitors I've personally tested. I know that a lot of the monitors I do are gaming oriented, but in terms of colour accuracy and colour spectrums, this thing is extremely advanced. And that's pretty much all down to the IPS nano colour technology it comes equipped with. So as far as Alienware's claims go, this particular panel actually exceeded those. So for colour gamut, a huge thumbs up for me for this monitor. With the colour accuracy and panel uniformity test out of the way, we are going to put this thing through some gaming scenarios. Alienware is predominantly a gaming brand, so I'd expect it to excel in this area over other areas like video editing and things like that. Okay, so before we go through some of the physical gameplay, I just want to go through the on-screen display and show you some of the options that are available. Okay, so you've got your game section, which just has a number of different presets. You can flick through those, peruse as you deem fit. You've also got game enhancement mode, which is things like a timer, your frame rate. You can align your display perfectly. You've also got an overdrive setting here. Now it's set to fast. That's, for me personally, that's the best I experienced without seeing any overshoot, which is where sort of the colour then goes in front of it, instead of having like a ghostly trail behind. In some scenarios, this will actually put it in front, so just be aware of that. The best results I got were on fast. You've also got a dark stabiliser there, which is just like a black equaliser. I think you can see that on the camera. It just sort of brings the shadows up a little bit. Those dark areas will be lifted. It's good in competitive games where you need to sort of get a bit of an edge over the competition by pinpointing their whereabouts a bit quicker, so that's always good to have. You can change your brightness and contrast as per most monitors. You've got your input there. One thing I will say about this quickly, we haven't touched upon inputs that much recently, but It only has a display port and a HDMI, which is I think a little bit lacking for a monitor of this size. You'd probably want to see at least 3 inputs there. I know the smaller monitors offer 3, so I'm not sure why this hasn't, but yeah, I was a bit disappointed that it only had 2, to be honest. But those are there if you want to change those. You got your Alien FX lighting, which is obviously all your RGB on the monitor. You can set that as you please. Audio, that's in case you want to put your own speakers into this thing. And then you've got your menu and your personalized settings there. But for this particular setting, or for a gaming setting should I say, you can have a little flick around these, see how it changes. I mean, they're quite aggressive, some of these, especially the normal one. I mean, yeah, you choose which one you want there. So yeah, that's the on-screen display. Okay, so as you can see, we've loaded up Counter-Strike Go here. This is my go-to game whenever I want to test a monitor, really. It's good for testing refresh rate, response time, anything that's got to do with sort of the monitor's responsiveness. This is a really good game to test it on, mainly because it's very fast-paced and very competitive. So far, I've had a pretty good experience. Everything feels very smooth. I haven't really experienced that much, if any, ghosting, which, you know, is one of the main issues that you can get with a monitor that doesn't have the sort of response required to play a game like this. So as far as smoothness goes, very good. Because we've got G-Sync enabled, I haven't seen any screen tear. You can normally see that as you're just moving around the map, but obviously I've not seen any so far. Ghosting can be a little problematic as well. That's when you sort of see a ghostly trail behind the image, or you can usually pick it up on like the telephone wires when you move back and forth very quickly, but so far so good with this one, really. Everything seems to be doing what it should be, and I'm pretty impressed overall. Yeah, obviously if you were playing competitive, you probably wouldn't use this monitor, if I'm being completely honest, basically because it's an ultra wide. You can always use black bars and get like a 1080p resolution going on this thing, but I mean, it'd be more beneficial just to buy a good 1080p sort of 240Hz monitor for the same price. This monitor is more geared to sort of immersive gameplay, so like Shadow of the Tomb, or you know, any of those sort of single player titles where you want to get sucked into a storyline. This is going to be very good for that. What I will say is we've got the colour mode in custom at the minute, and the colours do pop. They are quite nice, quite vibrant, exactly what you want from a monitor, especially if you're playing those single player games. That's really what you look for, or what I look for anyway. But yeah, overall pretty good so far. I'm enjoying it. Right, I've decided to throw a single player title on, just some of this a bit more immersive, a bit more story based, doesn't, you know, rely massively on the refresh rate, response time, things like that, just to get an idea of how immersed you can actually be. And obviously we've got Shadow of the Tomb Raider up. The actual screen is great because you can sort of, it opens up your field of vision quite a lot. I could really see myself sitting down and using this to, you know, get into a long sort of single player title, just enjoying it. It's very good. I'd much rather have this than say like a 27-inch, I don't know, just a standard 27-inch sort of IPS panel. This is much more beneficial to me personally. This is what I would look for if I was playing stuff like this. It's also going to be great for like productivity because you've got so much space to play with. The 1440p resolution obviously helps loads of that as well, because obviously it shrinks your desktop down, technically gives you more desktop real estate. Yeah, I mean, for me, this is what I'd be looking for in a monitor like this, and I think it does really well in this particular category. So there you have it, guys, our comprehensive review of the Alienware AW3420DW. A bit of a mouthful. So what do I think of this monitor? I really like it. It's an extremely good monitor for a number of different things. It's got a really good colour recreation. It's got a 1900R curve, which makes you feel immersed, whether you're playing games, doing productivity, or just generally browsing. The gameplay is good, not the best in the world, because it's obviously 120 Hz and a 2 ms response time. Not ideal for competitive games, but for single players like Shadow of the Tomb, Red Dead Redemption, all that sort of thing, this thing's going to be really good. So yeah, do I think it's good value for money? I'd say it is, but it's not the best on the market right now. You could probably look elsewhere for a little bit more value, but if you're looking for a 1440p 34-inch curved monitor, I really think this should be sort of high on your list of considerations. It is a very good monitor, whether you're gaming, productivity, or just a general user that wants a really nice looking monitor that's going to pretty much suit any sort of environment that you wish to put it in. So guys, if you like the video, remember to drop us a like, click the old thumb jobbler underneath the video. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We've got a ton of other monitors coming your way in the next couple of months. Hit the notification bell if you never want to miss a video. I think that's what they say. There should be another video on the left. It'll probably be another monitor review. You can watch that by just doing the old clicky click. And yeah, until next time, have a nice Christmas. Take care.